The grave robber, the descendant, and the archivist are at great odds. Each stares locked upon the other two, waiting for someone to make a move. Chrysos draws his sword. You may thieve from the dead or the living as you can, but you will not thieve from me. Sindala backs up from the sharp blade held out by the warrior. Don't do this, Chrysos. This book fills people with poison. I have no quarrel with you, Ledelic, and you want none from me. Just look at his face. Ledelic points to the skeletal face of the corpse. Its teeth are blackened to pitch, and the dark discoloration is spread into the surrounding bone. This warrior's mouth became blackened from speaking the curses found within that book. Just imagine what it did to his soul. Swords have spilled more blood than that book has. I don't hear you disparaging them. A sword is a tool. It is not evil on its own. That thing is. You're so sure of that. I've served as a soldier. I've been in battles, and brawls, and pits. I've seen life without the mystic's facade. There is no black and white. There are only shades of gray. Ledelic burns ferociously inside, but his druidic forbearance reminds him that he would not wish to die in a place such as this. He grips his torch, grits his teeth, and watches the human. Chrysos sets his sword on the lip of the sarcophagus and reaches for the book. Sindala, covered by the nearby wall corner, slowly draws her crossbow and a bolt. Chrysos touches the darkly bound tome. A shudder runs through the desiccated skeleton. Suddenly, there is a terrible sound, like a great gasp being drawn painfully inward. It echoes through the chambers and twisting halls. The corpse, clad in rusted centurion armor, rises from the stone coffin, emitting a brownish cloud of stench. Chrysos, rebuked, drops to one knee. Honored dead, I am Chrysos Valosa, your descendant. I've come to restore the glory of our house. The skeletal warrior stares down at Chrysos, expressionless. It draws an old, rusted gladius from its scabbard. Ledelic yells, laboring for breath against the encroaching tomb fog. This is nothing but a reanimated corruption! Destroy it! Chrysos' heart is pounding. His eyes dart to his weapon lying just within reach, then back to the horrid face of the thing's skull. I am your descendant. In the name of our great house, truce! The undead centurion opens its brackish jaws. With supernatural syllables, it utters a curse in an unknown tongue. Chrysos feels a terrible stabbing sensation in his face. His mind and spirit reel against the mystical damnation. The cloud of noxious vapors engulf him, and he falls limply to the floor. Ledelic, bewildered and nauseated, turns to flee. Within a few steps, his body transforms into that of a bat, flapping its leathery wings wildly in a desperate flight of escape. The skeleton, with its hollow gaze directed at Chrysos, slowly begins to step from the coffin. From the half-opaque, grimy cloud, a hand reaches out from a hidden position. The book is snatched by Sindala, like a cat grasping a mouse from the shadows. The helmet-encased skull of the thing snaps to the direction of the thief. It gasps once more, then collapses to the ground with an awful clatter. Sindala, sickened and gagging, staggers out of the twisting passages into the ruined lower den. She rests an arm against the wall, fighting against the nightmarish images trying to claw their way into her mind. She sees a flash of the ivory tower, the field of petrified soldiers.
No!
Sandala quickly stashes the book in her pack, then pushes herself onward. The Arkai's grappling hook of braided hemp and spiked bone still hangs. She takes in a deep breath and climbs up the platform. For just a slight moment, she looks behind her. She grabs up the grappling hook and rope and flees the scene, unable to rid herself of the feeling of some foul, creeping dead thing that must certainly still be stalking behind her. Sandala climbs the stone steps until she exits the tomb into the maze. The smell of this old, obsoleted sewer network actually feels inviting compared to the stench of the rot of ages. She strides with a brisk pace, turning here and there through the labyrinth of old drainways and waste channels. At last, she arrives at the Undercity Market. She passes by the drunks, derelicts, and whores, paying no heed to the beggars and black market hawkers that call to her as she goes. On and on she presses, through the entry passage, up the final flight of stairs, and out into the Vitus Necropolis. The sun hangs low in the evening sky, and a cool autumn breeze slinks around mausoleums, gravestones, and statues. Sandala shivers and thinks of nothing but getting home and locking the door tightly behind her. A tan-furred bat hangs from the shadowed roof of a mausoleum. It watches the woman clad in leather garments and a cloak steal nervously through the necropolis. Chrysos awakens with a violent cough. The tendrils of horror and paralysis slowly slink away. He sits up, attempting to regain his senses. His torch burns low on the nearby wall sconce. The stench of the area still lingers, though it is no longer overwhelming. He stands, removes his shield, and rubs his head. Stabs of nagging pain plague his face, and his jaw is painfully stiff. Chrysos screams angrily and strikes the corpse of Magro Valosa. Why? Why, damn you? He brings down his hand in a fury, crushing the oxidized bronze and brittle bone beneath an iron-shod gauntlet. This is not the way things were supposed to be. This is not the way at all. The metal-scaled warrior sees his sword lying within the sarcophagus. Next to it, among the faded and threadbare burial cloth, is a small bag that once upon a time must have been rather fine silk. Within, Chrysos finds 10 gold coins, along with a griffin statuette carved from finely treated wood. Pocketing the find and stowing his sword and shield, he leaves the chamber. After a few attempts, he pulls himself up the busted stair platform and into the main chamber. Out of the corner of his eye, he spots something. Sitting upon the metal grate opposite the side with the acid trap is a large rat. Chrysos squints and scowls at the critter. He could swear that the thing's beady eyes were watching him, with a trace of sentience. It lets out a shrill chatter, as if it is mocking him. Druid, is that you? The rat stares back, then chatters again with rodent insolence. Chrysos, nerves shot and emotions ragged, rushes towards the furry vermin. It immediately darts down through the great bars. Chrysos arrives and peers downward. He angles his torch and sees a dank, vertical stone shaft which descends some 20 feet. At the bottom is a passageway which appears to be a sewer tunnel, smelling of refuse and replete with shallow water. There, standing at the base of the descent, is a man. Though obscured by shadows, Crusoe sees his muck-stained skin and rag-wrapped body. Rats swarm all around him, and some even rest upon his shoulders. For just a moment he stares up, with a cold expression upon a gaunt face. Then he crouches and slips away. Crusoe backs up and looks around him, almost expecting someone or something to be lurking there behind him. His torch pops, reminding him that it will burn out quite soon. Shaking the nightmares from his mind and rubbing an aching jaw, the brooding warrior begins the long trudge home. Morning light cascades between stone columns, illuminating the olive-tan skin of Sindala. She stands nervously on the balcony parlor, which is guarded by two men wearing breastplates and helmets. A bronze-framed door opens, and out walks a man in a tunic. His dark hair is in the early stages of balding, and his eyes dart about as he speaks. "You've come earlier than expected."
That is a good thing.
It is. Sindala knows the man, whose name is Orion Heliodor. Typically, he serves as the go-between from Fane to Sindala and other perpetrators, arranging the terms of various discrete jobs which come directly from the crime boss himself. "You have it?"
I do. Fane will be pleased.
"I am ever so glad to hear that." "Very well. He will see you now. Come." Sindala follows the man down a hallway. At the end is a door, which he opens and gestures Sindala inside. Seated at a chair is a tall, slender man with a long nose, dark eyes, and lengthy gray hair. His appearance suggests Typherian ancestry, though his fine clothing obviously comes from Ophora, the coastal city-state to the west, where fashion, among other things, is experiencing a renaissance. "Here we are, my lord." "Hello, Sindala."
Hello, Lord Tankura.
Fane is seated in a tall-backed chair. On either side of him is a collared hound. He gently strokes one of the dogs with a hand adorned with a gaudy silver ring. His still eyes and posture maintain full attention on Sindala.
I have acquired the Tome of Blacktongue.
Outstanding.
It was very difficult to obtain.
I'm sure it was. Let me see it.
You gave me your word about my song.
Yes, I did.
I must sing him first.
Good. It is wise to ensure both sides are ready with their bargaining chips before sealing a deal.
He's unharmed, isn't it he?
See for yourself. Orion, fetch the boy. Yes, sir. The man in the tunic disappears behind a velvet curtain at the back of the lantern-lit chamber. Fane stands, slow and methodical, and walks over to the fireplace. He takes an iron poker and stirs the crackling embers. Which are you more partial to, Sindala? Stories from history, or rumors from the present day?
Which do I enjoy more, or which do I find more useful?
You tell me.
I don't know that I can pick. History teaches valuable lessons, but the news of the present day keeps you aware of what is going on around you.
Fane picks up a wooden pipe from the fireplace mantel. He stuffs it with tobacco and lights it. Ashen sweet smoke drifts from around his head. His steady gaze focuses on Sindala, as if expecting her to continue.
If I had to pick, I would choose present-day rumors.
I have heard a rumor that the last son of House Valosa is searching for Blacktongue's long-lost grave. Why do you suppose that would be?
I know nothing of this house.
Thane takes a couple of steps closer to Sindala, his long-legged gait bringing him nearly within arm's reach. You know nothing of the ex-soldier, Crusos Valosa.
I don't know who that is.
That's unfortunate. My lord! Orion reappears, and with him is a young boy, a mere 6 years of age, with a frightened look upon his face.
Heal us!
Mama! The book. Sindala reaches into her pack and produces the Tome of Blacktongue.
Here it is! Give me my song!
Listen to me, and listen well, thief. Lasthenis is dead, and it was by your mistake. He is dead, and who knows what information he revealed to the Vigilis before they stretched his neck. Now, you can only imagine what that cost me to take countermeasures to mitigate potential problems. Problems that could affect many persons. But that is not the only cost. I was quite fond of Lasthenis. It troubled me to lose him. As Fane speaks, he draws closer to Illus, Sindala's son. He stops adjacent to his hounds. The dogs' heads perk up, with standing ears and alert postures, as if they sense an impending command. Sindala feels a tense tightness throughout her body.
Please, I have apologized and pleaded with you already. I just want to be done with this.
I can see that. Sindala chokes back the urge to outburst. Screams, tears, violence, whatever form the expression would take must certainly be better than suffering on this anxious knife edge. Fane gestures to Orion, who leads the young boy near Sindala. He motions for her to hand it over. Let me see the book.
Lord Vankira, you promised.
That I did. Now give him the tome. Sindala holds the book out with one hand and reaches towards Illus with the other. As Orion takes the dark object in hand, Sindala grabs up her child. A burning tear streams down her cheek. Mama! Mama! The child cries into her chest. Orion flips to the grimoire with an austere expression. A moment later, he tosses the thing onto the nearby table, almost uttering an unnerved gasp. There is no doubt. Fane nods. I forgive you, Sindala. Forgiven, though not forgotten.
I have done all that is needed. The book must be worth the hoard.
That's what it all comes down to in the end, doesn't it? Cost and value. Let's hope this lesson remains with you.
Yes.
With that, Sindala excuses herself and quickly exits the building, doing her best to comfort Illus as they go.
They didn't hurt you, darling, did they?
I was scared. Sindala checks all over the boy's body, worried that she will find signs of abuse. Yet, except for a couple very minor bruises, he is unharmed.
We're going home, baby. Don't worry. We're going home now.
The woman's mind is filled with relief, but at the same time, a multitude of questions. They swim through her thoughts, demanding difficult answers, all essentially leading to one. What should she do next?